Welcome, welcome. Hello, it's lovely to see you all. I'm so glad you guys are here. Something is wrong with the chat. Oh no. Can someone write something in the chat other than just joining so I can see what is happening now? Okay. It does post, yeah. Every day, TikTok Studio just gets weirder. and better, but it's just... Okay, there now the chat looks normal. Okay, thank God. I was like, that's something I've never seen before. Let me refresh YouTube and see how we're doing. Hello. I have so many things to tell you. Can you guys see this? I said I was going to write down, like, this is how much money I made last week in tips, and then this is the computer goal. Can you see this right here? I tried to get it in okay, so you can see it. Okay, perfect. That was the goal. Get it somewhere where it's not covering my face, yet people can see it. That's another change. Because I used to be able to put people's, like, when I would have guests on the show, I could put their, like, whatever their apps were, how you could tip them down there. And now apparently this is as far down as I could move something today. So who knows? Give me 1 second to finish getting live on TikTok, and then we'll get this party started. Tap the screen. I have spent literally probably 12 hours doing research. So we're going to have a great time figuring out who to blame for everything that has happened. Oh, I'm in so much trouble. Oh my God, I'm in so much trouble. Yeah, I just keep feeling okay. I told you I'm in YouTube school for streamers, and it's nothing like TikTok school. It's serious. You have to go to class, you have to show up, there's like assignments. Oh my God. So last night I was just like, because I keep getting in trouble, like, you guys know, like, I'm not in the best mental health place. Like, so I was just like, hey, like, maybe I need to repeat school. Like, I don't, I'm not doing a great job. Like, I'm usually like the best student in class. Like, so like maybe I should just repeat next term. And I just noticed, and have already missed it, mind you, because I'll just to prove it. Like, I'm going to need this as evidence. So if I ever have to, like, call someone in to validate whatever this person is good. His name's Alex. I can't say anything else about him. Like, the YouTube account manager. I didn't see his email. So just for everyone who's like, Felice doesn't run 10 miles a day. This is how far I've gone today. You can see it says today. And every clip you're going to see, I just clipped 100 things and screen recorded them and cropped them, all of that, while moving this far this morning. So that's why I didn't see that my YouTube teacher, I basically sent him that email last night. I was like, yeah, I feel like like I can muddle through and like get a D or an F and like pass class. No, I didn't say F. I said C or D and pass class. But like, I'd really like to be present and attend class and like get the most out of it. Like, maybe I should just repeat like next semester. And he never answered me. I just noticed though, while I was doing this and doing all the research for the people's receipts and this show we're about to go through, he just sent me an invitation, because this is how serious YouTube school is. There's office hours, and like, if you're confused, if you're lost, like, you're supposed to be scheduling time during office hours. So he scheduled an office hours appointment for me that I missed while walking/running around screen recording things. I just keep YouTube school is going poor. I am the best student ever. I am a perfectionist thanks to being, that's not a good thing. No one should be a perfectionist. It's a trauma response to being raised by a person who demands perfection. Can you guys not hear me? Is something wrong? Is the sound bad? I saw, I know I couldn't do 12 more steps. I didn't know. Normally, if I had been monitoring this, never would I have not made it to 20,000. Don't and see the perfect. Don't say that, Toodle. You're triggering my fear of like people thinking of a failure. Okay, so you can hear it. Sorry, I just saw. I think Gen X. So one person said they couldn't hear, so I'm just making sure. Okay, let me double check. And YouTube. Hey, Leah. Hey, Steph. I'm so happy to see you guys every day. It makes me so happy. I'm going to also make a concerted effort. Not a concerted effort, but monitor like super chats and Twitch and things better. It's just very hard when I'm on TikTok Studio, but I'm going to get better at that. You want to ask something? Okay. Yeah, I don't ever want to set a precedent that I'm like answering questions because like that's not what the People's Receipt's about, but real quick. Hi. What's the question?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, it's a theory thing about politics.
You are cutting out. So are you in a place
Should we consider...
Wait, hold on. This is not me just trying to gaslight you or anything. I cannot hear. You're cutting in and out. I'm going to go on mute and like if you can get closer to your router or whatever and try again. I think that's... Oh, that's Ty?
Oh, I'm not...
Ty, it is you! Oh my god! It's like... It's like if my long lost child after I put him up for adoption and then I heard his voice. Oh my god, it is you. Ty, do you remember me?
I don't know who you are.
Okay. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do, Ty. I have a lot of our interactions recorded. Would you like me to replay them for you to refresh your memory? I know he does. Of course he does.
I don't support Trump anymore.
Oh, you know what's so funny about that? I have not seen you. And not because you're not growing and I'm not trying to say you're not present a lot, like on political TikTok, but I'm not for my mental health. Like I just don't scroll through lives. I don't know what's going on. And like 3 or 4 months ago, I got a rant, I'm also not supposed to check my direct messages because I get a lot of D threats. So I don't do that. But I still do sometimes. And I got a direct message where someone was telling me that you changed your political views. And I was like, Ty, like the guy that used to show up and yell at me in jail. And they're like, yes. So tell me more. I'm actually interested in this.
I just which one was?
Hi, is there any way you can fix your internet? Because
I'm trying to read more.
You're reading. Okay, I heard that. There we go. Go on now.
I am on the side of a mountain right now.
There you go. And that explains it. You're reading. No, Ty, I love that for you. Thank you.
Let me do this another day.
But do come back because
Let me do this another day.
Yes, and like I would love to hear this, Ty. I mean that. And if you want to just send me a message or I'll try. Wait, let me make sure. Let me just check. Don't hang up yet. Let me just see. Oh, I do because I am interested in catch. Oh God, can you write something in the chat really quick? Because I can't in TikTok Studio. I can't do anything with your profile. I am just curious to catch up. So I would like, this is way better than Joel Patrick showing up and screaming at me. Oh, he's gone. Okay. Anyways, his name's Serial. Can somebody give me Ty's information? I am curious, how. Oh, he went more extreme. Is that true? Because that's not what I heard. He's somewhere where we could not hear anything he was saying. There's no way we were going to talk to him. Is it just Serial? Oh, someone said Joel Patrick has changed. Well, when he showed up on this live 5 days ago, screaming about how he's has a problem with black people, it did not appear that he in fact had changed. And you can watch that because that is on my all my replays of the people's receipts are on YouTube. And listen, Joel Patrick and I are very similar in none of our beliefs, but in neurodivergence, in like growing up in similar environments, like evangelical environments. But yeah, I've never gone out of my way. I don't want to talk to Joel Patrick. He showed up here on his own, as he always does. Let's just be honest. He loves me. Showed up, and I would have loved to hear that he changed. And if you're on YouTube or Twitch and you're like, what the F? But people are just telling me, there were some people in the chat saying that Joel Patrick had different views. Well, anybody that was here when he showed up, I think it was Tuesday. If it is frozen, because I'm listening to the live in my ears and it's still playing and my internet connection is strong, I would say scroll in and scroll back out. Because if my internet connection was failing, TikTok Studio would tell me. Yeah, so if but servers for TikTok are all across the United States, so it depends on where you are. So there might be a problem with those in your area. So I would say scroll up, scroll back down. But if there is ever a problem with my internet, I'll let you guys know and I'll pause. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just funny someone mentioned Joel, I mentioned him and then someone was telling me he changed. Yeah, he didn't say any of that. He was actually talking about why he has a problem with black people. And then he started referring to something he refers to as Jewish dollars, and I had to drop him. So, yeah, I wasn't getting the impression he changed at all when I had a conversation with him last week. It was actually kind of disturbing. But like I said, Joel and I are similarly like neurodivergent. So I have like a soft place because of that. Because I know when you're neurodivergent, you can see the world in black and white in ways other people do not. So I think that's kind of part of that is why people are so put off by Joel. That's why. Like, I think people aren't accounting for, he's neurodivergent. I don't know if he can see the world in the gray. Like, I'm swimming around in the gray. The world, it's like multiple things can be true at once. Like, like that, I live in the gray and he's struggling to get there. But I am super hopeful that Joel changes his ideas. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I had an entire presentation put together yesterday, but I had to get to a doctor because I'm still struggling with sinus problems and stuff in Arizona. So I had to get medicine, which I did get, and I was able to sleep last night. That's why I'm here now. But I'm trying to think of, I want to try to break this down. What I want to do is show clips of information, not just from the Congress, not just from Senate Democrats, but from people, commentators everywhere, of how people are feeling about, the hateful eight, as I will now refer to them, the 8 Senate Democrats who have betrayed us, and then if you still don't get it, who were directed, who led them and who directed them to do this, who bolstered them to do it, who led all the negotiations, according to all the 12 hours of research I have done, Chuck Schumer. So if you are one of the people that still believes that Chuck Schumer has nothing to do with what is going on, Chuckles. Exactly. They call him Chuckles. It's so fun. Okay. In honor of D correctly identifying him as Chuckles, let me show you one of the clips I wanted to play. Because if you don't know the I've Had It podcast with Jennifer Welch and Angie Sullivan, whose nickname is Pumps, I always talk about how they used to have a reality show on Bravo. And I was like, these women are very sarcastic, very intelligent, and very funny. Let me show you one of the clips. If I had gone live yesterday, I was going to show you. This is Angie quote unquote Pump Sullivan talking about Chuck Schumer. And thank you, Dee, because this was probably one of the first points I was going to make.
Schumer, we have Chuck Schumer, the cowardly lion, who we refer to as Chuckles, who again proved he is a terrible leader. He cannot meet the moment. He is impotent and he needs to step aside. And after agreeing to a CR in the Senate, Chuckles tries to go on the Senate floor and like give us the old bamboozle. Oh, it wasn't me. Bullshit. Here he is.
Care away, all to bow to the billionaire elite and special interests. Democrats are united as the party of lower health care costs and improving our health care system. We will not give up this fight. We will deliver for the American people. I yield the floor.
What I have to say to that, Chuckles, is bullshit. You are not leading the fight. You are leading the cave. You are snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. You single-handedly, with this vote, one of two things is true. You baited the people that voted for it because they're not running again or they're independents, or it's a complete and total failure of your leadership that you did not whip the votes to keep the senators all voting in a Democratic bloc. This falls on Chuckles first and foremost. I am used to corruption and failure and impotent leadership from Trump. I am used to
Women who have grown to, let's say, 30 and older in America are used to impotent leadership. Absolutely. It is one thing we know better than anything else.
And nutballs that are unhinged being at the top of that party. But what we need in this moment is leadership. And what we've got is Chuckles, who is so frail and pathetic. It is absolutely pathetic what he did. Even Hakeem Jeffries, who we don't heap praise on all the time, has been able to keep his entire caucus together. But Chuckles doesn't do that because he's behind it. He wants the government to open. Everybody wants the government to open, but you sold the American people down the river. Mike Johnson's already said he's not going to put a vote about the Affordable Care Act on the floor. So you, completely knowing this, did it anyway, and you suck, Chuckles. Step aside, let somebody else take it over that's a fighter, that has convictions, and that will not cower to Donald Trump and his hideous authority. We have Chuck Schumer, the cowardly lion, who we refer to as Chuckles, who again proved.
I think it's so funny because Dee in the chat called Chuck Schumer Chuckles, and she's like, I didn't even know that that's where it came from. Yeah, like, well, at least these are, because now more people are doing it, you know. It's like when I started calling MGT margarine, I hear a lot of people doing it now. It's like, yeah, I think, and you never know, right? You, like, I could go on. Don't get me started about sociology and the origin of, like, you know, colloquialisms, because it's like, you know, they could spring up in multiple places at once even. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. I will not go into academia. But if you don't know, like, this is Angie, her next name is Pumps Sullivan, and then she works with Jennifer Welch on a White Women, on a podcast called I've Had It. Prior to that, they, like, Jennifer Welch, she's kind of like, I would say, the sidekick of the two. Jennifer Welch, what is like this very famous interior designer in Oklahoma City. And that's kind of was the premise when she got her own reality show, is like, she's not from there, but she like married this guy who was a lawyer, then she had to be there, and then she's like, what the is going on in Oklahoma? And it's, I can't remember what the show was called, but if you are bored and ever looking for like mindless reality to drown out the absolute horror show that has become American society, oh yes, and the glove. And she used to always, like, she was recently divorced, and like she didn't want her kids to know she was like going through a nervous breakdown and like smoking, so she would wear like a surgical glove on one hand. I don't know, I just remember it was hilarious. 10 of 10 recommend. But most of all, if you want to feel sane, and especially like white women who are looking for people that are living in, like, I don't know, is Oklahoma the South? I don't consider it the South, but you know what I'm saying. Oklahoma is backwoods, like, think about the superintendent of Oklahoma schools, you know. So if you're looking for two white women who are blue dots in a sea of red, who are just unloading on people, the I've Had It podcast is going to like change your life. You know, if you're like, I'm the only sane person left, oh my God, this is them. Yeah, I think it's pretty south. I don't know, but then again, all I'm trying to say by that is like I picture like I had some friends from like Alabama, and like if I was like Oklahoma's part of the South, they'd probably be like, when the South was fighting for freedom, Oklahoma was not a place. You know what I mean? They would like, so I'm just saying it depends. It's all relative, but to people who are just trying to group I live in OKC. I love that podcast. I love how people know. Okay, so it's so ironic. Anyways, again, this started because we were D in the comments was calling Chuck Schumer Chuckles, and I was like, oh my God, it's so funny you do that. I have so many clips I want to play. I'm going to kind of skip around. This is from yesterday's presentation. I have a whole new presentation today, but yeah, I'm going to try to like scratch that itch we all have to like hold people accountable, call out the unbelievable hypocrisy of excuse me, who I'm calling the hateful eight. What are you guys calling the 8 Democrats that decided in the middle of the night that people like their healthcare premiums going up by like 100x was okay, and that's selling out was a good idea versus a bad idea? I want to say this because I'm going to play mostly videos of people dragging Chuck Schumer into next year. Because if you are still one of the people that doesn't understand, he absolutely orchestrated this. What's her name? Oh my God, I never want to even think about her again. One of the women that looks like an and I'm saying this because I am queer and I feel like I can say it. I was like, Shaheen, I was thinking, I was like, it's like somebody I would like play against at a disc golf tournament or like a women's golfing tournament, telling like gaslighting us, trying to explain to us why she's in the right when it makes absolutely no sense and nothing she's saying is true. And you could tell as she went on, which I have all the clips and we can go through of her yesterday in the press just being eaten alive, like, and she kept doing like interview after interview after interview. And she just started saying, Chuck Schumer was there for all the negotiations. He led them. Like, he knew, he orchestrated, like, yeah, okay, now you're singing like a canary. So the original plan was like, hey, let's just get the people who are either retiring or not up for re-election until 2028 to, run cover for Chuck Schumer. But those people were faced with so much like pressure from the left and from the right that she broke literally in the first couple hours. She was the one from Nevada worried about travel. Well, listen, I'll say this, like, I'm not going to defend any of these people, but Catherine Cortez Masto, like, and I've talked about this before, and maybe I need to say this before I trash all these people for the next 5 hours, because I'm going to trash them all. Catherine Cortez Masto, I've met her in person. Catherine Cortez Masto is a very intelligent person who's very intentional, right? Like, so, and she is... like, I used to defend her. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. When she was up for re-election, I used to defend her and be like, she's up for re-election. She is a female senator in Nevada, where Las Vegas, and oh my God, now I'm going to forget. What is the county people here from Nevada? Is it Cook County? What is the county that Las Vegas is in? What is the county Las Vegas is in? I know someone's going to Clark. I knew it was a C. I was like, no, Cook is Illinois. Shut up, Felice. Clark. Thank you. Clark County. I was like, it's a C. I was close with no cigar. Every native born Phoenician, which is 1,000th of everyone living in Arizona. Everyone's just, it gets cold in Chicago, so now I just show up in the winter. Get out. This is our time. this is the time for people who suffered through the summer since they were children to enjoy this time in Arizona where our shoes, the soles of our shoes aren't melting on the sidewalk as we walk. No offense, snowbirds. You are driving our economy, but please, like, Gracie's a native, not a native born Phoenician. There's so few of us. Like, you go to like a baseball game or something and just everyone sitting around you just be like, was anyone born here? Of course not. Of course not. They never are. They're all just here stealing our good weather and golfing. Oh my God. Okay, so anyways, and the reason I was bringing that up is because every kid who was born in Phoenix, or as we call it, the greater Phoenix area, like 98% of the population of Arizona is concentrated in this one glob, grew up driving to Las Vegas. You know, like we're four, depending on how crazy you drive, we're like a 4 or 5 hour drive from the Vegas Strip. So I don't know. I feel like I know a lot about Nevada because I spent my life, like my weekends driving there when I was a child. Hey, Bennett. Glad to see you here. I'm so glad you're here. Can we keep tapping the screen? We need to be at 100K. I feel like since I decided to go into a depression spiral and disappeared for 2 months, the tapping has never been the same. We used to consistently get to 1 million taps. It's time to work on that carpal tunnel syndrome. Put your wrist and finger braces on, take your arthritis medication, and let's tap that screen. Let's tap it. Tapping is clapping. And as I used to explain it, and people would be like, that's really sad, Felice. If you grew up in a abusive narcissistic household, you can't control anything, so you try to control weird little things. And I think this is one of those tiny, like, everyone now is like, America's so out of control, like, this is crazy, what do we do? I'm like, oh yeah, this is just my childhood, it's fine. You control tiny things to give you a sense that you have control over anything, while also secretly plotting the entire time to overthrow the malignant narcissist dictator in your life. So that's what I'm saying. We can control so little. It is, Lauren. It is way out of control. Trust me, I know. And wait till I show you all of this. So anyways, back to Catherine Cortez Masto. I should say senator. It's sad because I feel like I don't need to say that for men, but like with women, we need these titles. I think she's very logical, actually, but I think she has been hanging on by a tiny thread ever since Trump's, like, let's say since 2022. She has been hanging on by this tiny, tiny thread. Like, they are looking for any reason to oust her, just like in Arizona. Like, let me just say it. Like, one of my biggest fears, and I could tell you my personal fears, but this has to do with the fate of our country and the electorate. Katie Hobbs, she's the governor of Arizona. She's a Democrat. She's amazing. She's one of the best civil servants I've ever known. Can she debate publicly? I don't know. Oh my God, now I can't remember his name. So people in Arizona, remind me. What is the gross guy who's part of the Freedom Caucus? His name's Andy J. RTP lives in his district that's running for governor. Andy Biggs, thank you. And it should be Andy Smalls. It should be Andy Smalls is going to run against her for governor. And I don't know how we're going to drag this over the line, but we have to. And I think Catherine Cortez Masto at times lets her fear of what's right and wrong, like, get in her mind, and she's walking this tightrope constantly between, like, democratic wishes and the psychotic MAGA Republicans. I consider Nevada and New Mexico very similar to Arizona, so I think she was like, yeah, I can't keep doing this forever, like, they're gonna bury me, except for, here's the problem, when and we are talking about more red than blue, when nobody can go take their children to the doctor anymore, yeah, I think you made the wrong choice. I just think Democrats aren't built for this, right? And by Democrats, I mean, what are they calling it? And I'm going to play this interview. BTC is like Brian Tyler Cohen did a fabulous interview yesterday with Bernie Sanders. And and again, it's like we can call it a gerontocracy, this old grouping of Senate Democrats who've been there 30 years or way too long, and they just aren't used to fighting the way we fight. And maybe I'll have time for it today, but if you remember, last Friday was what are the Christian nationalists up to, which, by the way, I'm so sorry. I know I scarred people for life, but I do feel like people need to know that Charlie Kirk's absence has created a terrifying power vacuum on the right. And I just want everyone to know who is currently filling that power vacuum. But last Friday, I talked about this, and sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Let me just play a clip, but I'm going to tie this all together. But yeah, so this was yesterday. I just want to be clear. I never hear. If I was a fervent fan of the Katie Fang show on MSNBC, she's one of the people that were axed in what I call the NBC Night of the Long Knives, right? Like, and which was pretty much any brown, black, Asian person that could accurately analyze data and was a little too smart for their own good were just axed. Katie Fang is a former federal prosecutor. This woman is brilliant. And when she worked for MSNBC, you never saw her real personality because she was always covering it up. Listen to this clip of her just being like, this is how it is.
The legislation will end the mass firings of federal workers by the Trump administration while the shutdown has been going on, reverse those illegal firings that have happened, and guarantee back pay for those federal workers. Stop. These firings were illegal in the first fucking place. We have gone to court at DDF and others to be able to fight these illegal firings, these, quote, reductions in force that are not supposed to be happening during a government shutdown. So the fact that these are going to be stopped, yes, I am happy for those workers. Yes, I am happy they're going to get back pay. Yes, I am happy that it's not going to happen again, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place. I kind of feel like I'm being gaslit, right? It's like the Republicans are supposed to think that they have now done something right by not doing what is illegal in the first place? What? I don't get this. And as I said, it includes a prohibition on additional reductions in force by government departments and agencies until when? Until the end of January. Stop the madness. It shouldn't happen at all. But I'm supposed to be grateful that it's only supposed to happen until the end of January? The legislation...
Just want to say this because as I go through this and I start calling out all of these spineless Democrats who folded like lawn chairs, some of them you're going to hear them say, oh, I'm so happy for the RIFs, it's not going to happen anymore. That's what I'm protecting my constituents from is RIFs. That is an acronym for reductions in force. You notice how a normal person in communicating with America is not going to use weird acronyms to try to gaslight or make people feel like they don't understand what they're talking about. And I just want to be absolutely clear. When you hear all these men being like, yeah, I was in it for the riff, no more riffs. No more riffs for 2.3 months. Congratulations. And all of you, and let me just tell you my first thing. This continued resolution, you know what this really does? Think of the last Christmas. These, Congress needs 4 weeks of Christmas and they want to be able to not do anything. That's what they can do now. All of them is nothing. They don't want to be sitting there on December 15th when their vacation starts, and they're supposed to take a PJ to the Bahamas on someone else's dollar. Wait, what's happening in the comments? Is someone being... if anyone needs to be blocked, just tell me. I don't know what's happening. Otherwise, I'll let you guys handle it. But if someone's being mean or distracting everyone, just let me know. I will handle it. But this is the Katie Fang, the best thing, because I was so angry at MSNBC, as was Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow be, under the Midas Touch network and having her own Substack and her own podcast and being able to flourish and say whatever she wants to say. Never mind. And I'll say this. If there's one thing represents abandonment, I think most people in American society hate change. And like when I first started working in advertising in the tech industry, you know, like the tenets of the tech industry are like move fast, break things. Like the only constant is change. I have learned, and I talked about this last Tuesday a lot, is like one of the best things, in my opinion, and I attributed this to women, but I want to say that this is probably true for men too, is, you know, from 18 to, you know, early 20s, mid 20s, it's like I was so deeply insecure and unsure. And the best part about change is growing older and becoming more sure of yourself. And the best part about change, like Katie Fang just suddenly being fired from MSNBC and Mehdi Hassan and Joy Reid, and you feel like it's the end of the world. But in my opinion, it's the start of all these three being able to flourish and say what they should have been saying, but were being muzzled against saying, right? Like, if I could give anyone some advice, like as somebody who sees my brain works in strange ways that makes people not like me, but there are some advantages to it. Change. Like, I'm about to go through a bunch of anxiety, depression, and uncertainty, but I am going to come out on the other side a better person with more opportunity than I've ever been, or than I've ever had in my life. That is the beauty of change. And not just that, but in huge changes like this, like purgings, you know, being fired from a job, you know what you also figure out? Who your real friends are. And it's like, if you've never had the opportunity to really find out, thank you so much for all the gifts. If you've never had the opportunity to find out who your friends are 10 of 10 recommend, because that's the truth. Like when you are down, when you are literally in the deepest hole you've ever been in, that's when you find out like how much people do or do not love you. So anyways, that's just the thought I had. And people, oh wait, no, YouTube. Okay, it's back. Sorry. Streamlabs has been so unpredictable. Okay, I'm going to try to pepper in positive things and negative things, which, okay, so, and I never saw this coming. I want to believe this is, I don't know if we should gaslight ourselves or we should not gaslight ourselves and be honest, because he continues. He didn't just say what you're about to hear yesterday. He's continuing to do what I feel is gaslighting. Can tell me in the comments, because you guys are better at this than me. How do you guys feel about Tim Kaine? Senator Tim Kaine being one of these 8 people. Of all of them, I think that was the one where I was like, what the? Are you okay, Tim? Like, are you? I'm waiting because, see, TikTok Studio told me I was glitching for a second. It says it's fine. My routers are fine. Hold on. I'm just making sure my router has a green light. Sorry, I have not said anything. I paused until TikTok Studio said you guys could hear me. But let's listen to this clip. This is from yesterday of Senator Tim Kaine gaslighting us. I don't even know what to say anymore. I have no idea how to take what Tim Kaine is doing anymore. It's quite unnerving.
Last night, I asked him if he expected the backlash that he's getting today. This is what he told me.
I got the first good night's sleep last night that I've gotten since October 1 because I wasn't worried about being able to look Capitol Police in the eye when I walked in, or what a furloughed federal worker would say to me at church, or what somebody would say to me about their SNAP benefits. When you're in shutdown, it's always bad because you're one of 535 plus one who have some responsibility for it.
Last night, I asked him if he expected.
Is that like, and I just want to be clear, it's very clear that all of these people, except for Fetterman, who just is incapable of forming a sentence or following a line of logic, these are the talking points, right? Yeah, that's what he's saying. So you're saying, which, hold on, I should have probably looked this up. It's okay for, what, hundreds of thousands of people to no longer have health care so that you can, like, what? Like, that's the point. And that's the point why, just to be clear, the first time we could have shut the government down and Chuck Schumer did this same thing and said it was for all of us, and that if Trump continued, then we would take a stand. This was the stand after they gave them tariff power through the end of the fiscal year. This was the stand. And now we're being gaslit again by these people. And they're like, yeah, but people shouldn't go without checks. Everybody's going without a check. There are mass firings going on, having nothing to do with a shutdown. Federal workers are being terrorized. This was just the workers that were fired acting like Trump firing people during a shutdown is legal. That's 100% illegal. They already would have gotten their jobs back. And living under tyranny is not a better solution. Capitulating, folding like a lawn chair is never a better solution to holding out and getting healthcare subsidies back. And I've spent months prior to all this doing statistical analyses on how many people would unalive, how many people would lose health care. We all know that. So to hear Tim Kaine do this now, I don't even know what, honestly, and he's from Virginia. Like, he's a senator from Virginia. So think about that. The Virginia, one of the largest election blocks, or the most elections, actually, I would guess. I don't know if it's true or not. The entire Virginia Commonwealth State House was up for re-election last Tuesday. Like, I think they lost 9 or 10 seats to Democrats. Like, we've never had more power in the Virginia. Virginia is traditionally a bellwether state. We've never. I think that's very interesting. Different values in the Senate. If I had to guess, what I believe is going on is pressure from lobbyists and from corporations to reopen the government. I don't think any constituents are asking them to stop fighting for healthcare subsidies. I think that's a corporate thing. Yeah, I am noticing that. Yeah, I think, and when you see 50 senators, 2 from every state, I think, and the way they've been there way too long, and I'll get into this too. It's the same with Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is paid for by AIPAC. Hakeem Jeffries is paid for by AIPAC. And people ask, like, what do you mean by that? I've always talked about this. I've talked about how a lot of the black representatives in New York have partnered with AIPAC. Richie Torres is another example. He's like a Hispanic black man representing the Bronx right next to AOC, who he would spew this language that I'm like, oh God. And then you look at how much money is coming from AIPAC, right? Take Hakeem Jeffries. Yesterday, he's still backing Chuck Schumer out loud publicly, even though he's like, yeah, we're not following suit. We're still going to fight till the bitter end. But when you look at how much money Hakeem Jeffries has gotten from AIPAC, it's like 1.5. And it seems like, AIPAC wants, by numbers, if I look at funding, AIPAC right now is controlling the minority leader of the House and the minority leader of the Senate. And part of their rules is you can't condemn someone that we paid you to support. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why I think Hakeem Jeffries won't publicly say. That's why I think Hakeem Jeffries, 10 days before the election, was like, I support the Democratic candidate that everyone else does for the New York City mayorship. He couldn't say his name. And that's why I think it is. I've lost hope in both parties. I don't think that's... I don't think anyone needs to lose hope in things. I think that when you look at... Let me just tell you why. Let me make this clear. When you look at the Republican Party, there's not one free thinker allowed, right? Free thinkers, anyone that can correctly analyze data or is like, here's what's actually going on, right? They get rid of. They purge. The only thing that's allowed on the right is cult-like thinking. You are not allowed to say a word that goes against Donald Trump, or in some time you will be essentially ejected. At least that is not currently happening with the Democratic Party. But there is this old guard of the Democratic Party that continues to, in my opinion, work for lobbyists, corporations, and the people that pay for their campaigns. And specifically, I think that with Chuck Schumer and with Hakeem Jeffries, because the number one job that these people have is not what you think it is. It's not to do the right thing for their constituents. It's not to listen to the American people. It's to fundraise, right? So when you look at the 1.5 million Hakeem's taken from AIPAC or whatever it is, that's, in my guess, when I try to analytically think about why he took that money, because his job is not to, just to be clear, Hakeem Jeffries' job is not to fundraise for himself. It's to fundraise for everybody else. They are supposed to gather together a pool of millions of dollars to ensure re-election for Democrats in the House and in the Senate. And they can't worry about their own re-election. So they have this unholy deal with AIPAC of like, hey, we'll fund you the money for your re-election so you can focus on other things, which is a lot of other things. That's what I think is going on. That's why I think Hakeem Jeffries wouldn't say the truth. And the only, and I say this, look up representatives in New York and how much money they're getting from AIPAC. I don't think you can win elections in New York without bending the knee to AIPAC. So I don't know what, especially if you're a black man. I don't know what the right answer is to that. AOC is the exception to this. She has not taken money from AIPAC. That's the one exception. But Richie Torres does. Hakeem Jeffries does. You know who else didn't? Remember my favorite representative from New York? What was his name? Jamal Bowman. Remember, he was a high school principal, the guy that pulled the fire alarm? He never took money from AIPAC, and they spent... It was the highest spend ever to primary a Democratic candidate in history. He's gone now. That's what happens, in my opinion, in New York when you don't acknowledge AIPAC. They're like, there's no amount of money we will spend to get rid of you. And they're very uncomfortable about Mamdani. I'm just asking everyone, these are my opinions, but I'm also asking everyone to think about it because I do think it's true. Listen to, Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego. I think it's pretty obvious. They're the two senators from Arizona where I'm from. One's an astronaut, one's a Marine. They do not like Chuck Schumer much. Listen to Mark Kelly, because this is how you know. Like, when someone asks him, hey, do you like Chuck Schumer? And he refuses. He's just like, I'm going to pretend you didn't ask me.
Do you support Chuck Schumer to lead Senate Democrats going forward?
So, Chris, again, we found ourselves in a situation, I don't think.
Did you hear that? Did you hear it? That's a no. And trust me, I've studied Mark Kelly. If Mark Kelly wanted Chuck Schumer to continue being the leader of the Senate, he would have just said it when he was asked. He's like, and I'm going to talk about something else.
The Senate has found itself in before. I think under any president, Democrat or Republican, they're going to care about the American people's health care and care if they're going to be able to put food on the table and try to bring down costs, not do the opposite for the American people. So when I hear folks say things like that, I understand their frustration. But I also hope they understand that we all need to be on the same team here. And what matters at this point is restoring these tax credits, if we can do it in December. And we're going to work really, really hard, and we're going to focus on getting the Republican votes necessary to do that. But beyond that, it's winning the election in 2026. This president controls the House and the Senate. He controls those votes. He's got, all the levers of power here with our government. So we have to win this election in 2026. And if we do, we can hold him accountable, and we can take some steps to try to improve the situation that millions of Americans now find themselves in, not being able to afford rent or mortgage payment or groceries or health care.
I will.
And listen, there's things about what he just said that annoys me. He's a pragmatist though. Like, you'll understand, this is somebody who's been in space. Like, he's very analytical, and it's like, yeah, I don't like to hear when he's like, hey, we need to control the controllable. But I will say this, because I've spent a lot of nights in my own head without talking out loud, analyzing all this stuff and how I think it's going to go. I think possibly, and let me just say that very clearly, our last chance at a free and fair election is the midterms. Trump's not on the ballot. Like, that's, our final stand. Like, if we are going to take back control of the legislative branch and undo any of this stuff, and I know, trust me when I say, I don't have, people are suffering, but we have a year to figure out how we get back control of the legislative branch, which is the most powerful branch of government, and we start changing rules. And people need to vote. Yes, absolutely, people need to vote. And I talked about this, if you were here last Friday, I was talking about how we need new voters. Absolutely, we need to turn out new voters. But those most valuable votes, and that value you saw on Tuesday, was peeling off Trump's voters, right? Because we're +2. When we take a voter who voted for Trump in 2024, move them from the Republican Party, that's -1, and then they turn around and vote for the Democratic Party, that's +2. Those are the most valuable voters, which Trump is the best player on our team. He's continuing to terrorize the only the largest cross-section of population growth in this country, which are Hispanics. So I think that Trump is both the worst and the best player on our team, all at the same time. Thank you so much. Tap the screen, share the live, all of the research and clips you're about to watch. I've done 12 hours of research to do this presentation. I have a computer I need to replace. This is my tally right here. If you would like to help me, please do tip me or gift or share, however you can. And also tap the screen. I saw we're at 111 taps. Let's keep working towards arthritis. We're doing a great job. Okay, seeing Mark Kelly is reminding me of some other clips. I always love when I hear these, and then it makes me want to play different clips. Give me a second. I want to... Oh, God. I have so many things to say. Okay, I think Is this what I'm thinking of? No. It's not time for that. That's way too depressing. Yeah, I'm going to come back to some of this. I'm going to go to my presentation I made for today, and I'm going to show some more clips, in line. Oh my God. It lied with this and of the traitors. I'm thinking of this clip of Tim Kaine that I can't get out of my head, and I need to find it. Where is, there he is. In case you thought Tim Kaine being harassed and receiving millions of calls over the nighttime would have made him be like, hey, like, maybe I need to rethink like my position on this. Just here's Tim Kaine today, this morning.
The party is just angry about this. It seems like this is ripping the party apart at a time where it felt like the party was coming back together post-elections. How do you convince your fellow Democrats to stay together on this? And how do you convince voters across the country to believe in the Democrats again?
Can I just say,
go ahead.
Can I just say, ripping the party apart? I think you're over dramatizing this. I mean, I know the news business is to try to make everything like the biggest crisis since
let me
Cuban Missile Crisis or something.
Don't say it's me.
There's differences of opinion.
I will quote your fellow Democrats. Gavin Newsom calls it pathetic. Hakeem Jeffries, complete BS. AOC says this is not about a base of voters. This is about
Katie,
about people's lives. Chris Murphy says it makes Donald Trump stronger. This is a moment that demands fighters, not folders. I mean, this is me quoting Democrats. I'm not making things up.
Right.
You know, it's reading what people are saying and reporting it.
I know it. And you would have said this, you could have read the same quotes last month, a month ago. Will Rogers, 100 years ago. I don't believe in organized politics. That's why I'm a Democrat. We're a big tent. We have different points of view. I've been doing this for 31 years. This is by far a minor league issue within the Democratic Party. We're going to unify around having the healthcare fight within a month. And people are going to see where Democrats are and see where Republicans are. And I'll be glad to come back and talk.
A minor league issue is how many people will die between now and however we find a way, which you took all our leverage, threw it into the toilet. And you're saying that can you hear this man speaking? We're talking I wonder, and here's the irony. More MAGA will statistically die if you can do math. And we're going to get around this. I've never seen this side of Tim Kaine. Like, if he would have just gone and been like, listen, I was backed into a corner for reasons I really don't feel like sharing. Like, you know, like this was going to end one way or another. But I can't believe the words that continue. It's no big deal. I've been doing this for 31 years. This is the biggest deal that has ever occurred in politics. A fascist takeover of America is the biggest deal, weirdo. And yeah, I think maybe after your 31 years, it's time for you to go now. Like, you need to go. If you can't understand why people being denied health care by the millions is a big deal, then you need to. I know Hillary's that's so funny you brought that up. David Douglas said Hillary's former running mate. Remember, Tim Kaine was like Hillary's VP. It's all making sense now. And it is like, I want to say, like, and I just want to be clear, Hillary Clinton was more than qualified of any white man who's ever run for president. She was more qualified to be the president of the United States. But this shit, the hangout in the middle, I'm being bribed by lobbyists and corporations to continue the status quo. I know the pressure didn't come from anyone in fear of losing their health care. So once you've been, as he said, not me, 31 years, but doing the backstroke in the swamp, it may be time for you to go now. I think you've lost touch with reality. Yeah, not just free healthcare as a senator, they get pensions forever. Like, this is why I was like, with all of our energy, we need to get Lauren Boebert out of the Senate after the first year. She's going to get like a lifetime pension. The salary they make now, they will make it forever, along with like the best healthcare in the world. These people have nothing to worry about while continuing to insider trade. And the only thing I'm glad about it being the fall is January 1st, or in that first week, the unusual whales report will come out, and then we'll see who's benefited. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's the report that talks about people in Congress insider trading with information and who has outperformed the stock market. Like, I have never been this disillusioned in my life. This guy, absolutely not. What are you talking about? We're going to continue the fight. You're going to be left. You're not going anywhere near the rest of us. You're staying behind. Okay. Before I forget and I get into the rest of the very depressing clips and polling, I want to also, okay, hold on. I wanted to say this, and don't worry, on Friday, but I didn't have time. It has to do with an interview that Jasmine Crockett, don't worry, it's Jasmine Crockett. I'm not going to force us to listen to something horrible. It's Jasmine Crockett just saying the truth, which I've been thinking about. And I want to point out before this, right? So I'll show you too. Yesterday, Trump in the White House was like shitting on Marjorie Taylor Greene or being like, I don't know what's going on with her. Like, she's weirdo or whatever he was doing. And I'll let Jasmine say it, let me just be clear in case, because she talks fast and it's, Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the deciding votes of the reason we're in this, right? That continued resolution that had all the poison pills that gave Trump the tariff power until the end of the fiscal year. She voted yes on that bill. So when she sits here and says, I don't know what's going on, I don't know why this is happening, she was a yes. Margarine, like fraudster Taylor Greene was a yes on that vote. And this was, let me just give some context, like last Friday, and I can play these two, I have every clip. Well, on Thursday, she gave an interview, and then on Friday, she gave an interview to Caitlin Collins. No, wait, I'm saying it backwards. Friday was the interview with Caitlin Collins. And after Marjorie Taylor Greene's interview, Jasmine Crockett went on Laura Coates' show and said this.
Affordability to what you're talking about, which was the precise message in the mayoral election and a lot of Tuesday nights victories for Democrats. Do you see that as instructive of what will happen for the midterms?
I do. If we keep it up and we make sure that people understand, right now we know that the Supreme Court is looking at whether or not they are going to overturn the tariffs. That, in my opinion, there is no question about the fact that they have been illegally inflicted upon all of us. These tariffs have been one of the many reasons that our lives are more unaffordable. So what I don't want to happen is, once and if the Supreme Court decides to save Donald Trump from himself and things maybe reduce in cost, that people say, well, everything's going well, and they don't fully understand. It wasn't him. It wasn't him. If it was up to him, you still would be suffering. He still would be telling you, maybe you won't have 10 baby dolls, but instead 2 for Christmas. He would still be looking at you crazy every time you're like, well, Mr. President, Canada is our friend, or Mexico is our friend. So why is it that you're making it more difficult? Why is it that we are not going to have the great trade partners, even when you're in Texas? Our biggest trade partner is Mexico. So I want to make sure that we communicate. If there is any kind of relief that comes because of tariffs, that it was the Supreme Court. And y'all know I don't love the Supreme Court. So, I mean, if I'm giving credit there, then that means they deserve the credit.
Affordability.
So here's the part about, wait, there might be 3. Hold on. Let's see. There might be 3 clips.
Of the credit. Well, talking about communication in the form of advice you would give to Mayor-elect Mamdani. You've been at the receiving end of a great deal of criticism, a lot of visceral reactions and vile rhetoric thrown your way. He receives a great deal of it. What is your advice to Mamdani?
Listen, I don't know that he needs my advice. He has been a master, and frankly, he could do a master class for all Democrats on communication, whether you're talking about speaking with passion and heart and just talking to the working class. Not worried about the billionaires. They're going to be fine. In fact, the better that the working class does, the better they do. That means that they've got the employees that they need to make the profits that they need. And ultimately, we are the ones that spend the money.
I don't think he needs me. What I think is that our party needs to learn from Mamdani. They need to learn about organizing people on all levels. They need to learn to talk to everyone and not just those double Ds or triple Ds, which are the people that always come out. They need to not necessarily give up on anybody. They need to go the places that they aren't used to seeing Democrats. Like one of the things that I did on the presidential is I kept telling them, send me to rural America. I have things that I need to say. I lived in East Texas and I understand it.
Will you use that as
the credit?
Well, talking about communication.
I know. Now I realize where the clip is. It was the first clip, but I get scared because it looks like Marjorie's face. But this is Jasmine Crockett talking about Marjorie. That's why I forget. I'm like, ugh. Yeah. Like I just thought it was another clip of her talking. Okay, so this is the clip. It was the first clip, but I get scared because the screenshot has her face, so that I get scared to play it. This is Jasmine Crockett talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene's hypocrisy because she's like, oh, there's no plan. Republicans are awful. You voted yes, please. And that's the reason I'm doing this now. And I thought it was very important to do this today is because this House vote, right? Whenever these people who have been on a 42-day vacation on our dime are now trying to fly back. And by the way, if you don't follow, of course, no one follows the news like I do. They are whining about having to come back and asking for taxpayers to pay for their sudden expensive flights back for their vacation from their vacations because it's very inconvenient and expensive. They were asking for taxpayer dollars to, yes, this is real life, people. I wish I didn't know. If you wonder why I had to go into a 3-month depression, it's because I can take in extreme amounts of information. That's why they're like, oh, I shouldn't have to pay after my 3-month paid vacation at taxpayers' expense to come back and steal health care from every taxpayer in America. That's the reality. So this is Jasmine Crockett talking about how everyone can be like, and let me just say, multiple things can be useful at once. It is useful in our cause for Marjorie Taylor Greene from the right flank of Republicans to be attacking Trump. That is useful. It is not, in my opinion, genuine or real. It's a toddler throwing a tantrum, right, for not getting what she wanted, which was to run against Jon Ossoff, and she wanted Trump's support to be the junior senator of Georgia. And so it is useful what she's saying, but how genuine is it when you voted yes to create this problem?
Your reaction?
Yeah, hell may have frozen over because we are agreeing more than we're not. But I will tell you that while there is a new Marjorie, as some people have said, I do want to give people an opportunity to do their research. And the reality is that the big ugly bill, it only passed with 1 vote. And if one more Republican would have defected, which we had maybe 2 Republicans that defected, if we would have just had 1 more, then we would not be talking about higher insurance premiums. Marjorie Taylor Greene voted for this. Point blank period. Her constituents were the ones that were on the receiving end of this. In fact, I'm sure that we can find tape in committee of me going down and talking about how many people in their Republican districts were going to lose health care, how many children were going to lose health care because of that bill. Now, maybe she didn't care about those on Medicaid and Medicare, and Democrats spent a lot of time talking about the fact that 15 to 17 million were going to lose their health care, but they didn't fully understand, I guess, that when you remove $1 trillion from the healthcare ecosystem, everybody else has to pay in. Also, that the top 1%ers can keep more money in their pockets. At the same time that we've not raised the minimum wage, we're seeing record-breaking profits from those at the top. We know that there are talks about Elon becoming the first trillionaire that we've ever seen in the world. So you tell me if I am feeling so sad for Marjorie or buying into this, because I don't understand why she didn't do the right thing when she had a chance. So there's two issues that we have going on. The big ugly bill is what caused our insurance premiums to go up. But in addition to that, Republicans have decided to kick people while they're down. So if you are on the marketplace, if that's where you get your health care, then that tax subsidy is set to expire at the same time that they made the tax cuts permanent for those at the top, and they have decided they don't want to talk about giving them subsidies. So while your insurance may go from, say, $200 a month to, say, $1,000 a month, but if you are on the marketplace, you are going to get, say, $250 credit a month. Now they're saying we also want to take that away.
That's the truth. Just understand, Marjorie Taylor Greene was, like we said, it passed by one vote. So if she cared so much, which let me just be clear, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not from the district she represents. She pretends every couple months to go and goes there and pretends to care. That's one of the poorest, if not the poorest, but one of the poorest districts in Georgia that is predominantly Caucasian. So she has no choice but to take this stance, but also I don't know. I want to say this. If Marjorie Taylor Greene is a narcissist, she's the dumbest one I've ever met in my life. And I'm not talking about people exhibiting narcissistic traits. That is the entire Republican Party. I'm talking about her lack of empathy and my experience, because I was raised by a woman who is a malignant narcissist, but is much smarter than her. It explains why she's so bad at it, but she still lacks empathy. In my opinion, all of Marjorie Taylor Greene's motivations is upward mobility for herself, but also idiotically, right? Narcissists aren't smart, right? If you understand the psychology behind narcissistic personality disorder, she has the same disease Trump has. She's like, I'm God. God doesn't do anything wrong. God knows everything. Why are more people not recognizing I'm God? I don't understand. I'm saying all these things, I'm doing all these things, and people aren't recognizing me. And then she wanted to run against John Ossoff, which is a suicide mission, quite literally. And Trump wouldn't support her. So imagine what they call narcissistic injury, right? Imagine the injury of that. If you have this grandiose facade and truly believe your only protection inside, you're an insecure, angry infant, but outside you have this grandiose protection and this belief that you are God and everybody should acknowledge that, and then you are shit on, right? That's what she's dealing with. This is some sort of I've been slighted, now I'm going to oppose them. And I'm only bringing this up because as soon as all of the Republicans in the House who've been on a 3-month vacation get back near DC, this vote will probably happen tomorrow afternoon. And let's see how Marjorie votes then. Let's see, because that would cement her problem with Trump. I don't think she wants a problem with Trump, only to say Trump is another. I think Trump very clearly has narcissistic personality disorder, but I think he's a malignant narcissist. I've done several lives on the Nuremberg trials. That's where the schmazzies were held and where they brought the leading psychiatrists and researchers involved in narcissistic personality disorder. Malignant narcissism is different, right? Trump probably has a little bit of psychopath and Machiavellianism, right? The ends justify the means in him. So it will be very interesting to see. Marjorie, you keep saying all these things. You keep saying it's true. So are you going to back that up with your vote? But just to be clear, I'm not saying if Marjorie flipped her vote in the House, we'd have a chance. We need 13 Republicans to refuse to vote for this. Do I think we have those votes? No. And if we do in the beginning, I just want everyone to start recognizing the pattern, because it kind of hurts my heart when people are hoping still that things aren't going to happen that very clearly are. The minute they call that vote, you don't need to watch and think, will anyone do something different? They won't. You don't go to the floor without the votes. And I don't think in any world, there are 13 Republicans in the House that don't want to get rid of Obamacare subsidies. I was like searching quotes and stuff. There will be no miracle. This is probably a foregone conclusion. But Margarine, you did all these interviews. Like, whose side are you on? That's my point. Like, you went out of your way to do all this stuff. So let's be really clear. Like, you need to choose. It's time to choose a side. Oh, let me show. Okay. We need to tap the screen. I don't know. I just got a violation. I think this will be fine. I think it's going to be fine. Okay. So I'm going to play some of it. Probably not all of it because it's long. But when Chuck Schumer did all this and tried to be like, I'm a no vote, it wasn't me. And then Shaheen, like, throughout the day is like, yeah, he was the one that negotiated it all. He knew about all of it. While Chuck Schumer's like, I'm a no. Chuck Schumer has to go. So I rarely see people on The View have these types of opinions. So I just want to show you what happened yesterday on The View.
Treat us like you've met us before. So let us tell you what's been going on. The biggest sticking point in the longest U.S. government shutdown has been Democrats demanding that Republicans negotiate to extend health care subsidies that are about to expire. But last night, 8 Senate Democrats threw in the towel by siding with the GOP to advance a vote that could lead to the government reopening. And they tried to explain themselves to their unhappy colleagues. Take a look.
I understand that not all of my Democratic colleagues are satisfied with this agreement. But waiting another week or another month wouldn't deliver a better outcome.
He's the new Susan Collins. I'm just saying, because I'm going to introduce you to the man running against Susan Collins, who hopefully is going to get rid of her forever. His name's Graham Planter, and he's a former Marine, absolutely fabulous, has all the right energy we need. This is like beta Susan Collins.
This agreement tonight is a win for the American people. There was zero chance.
Of all these people, can't stand him the most. I will play the clips that have led me to feel this way. Of all these people, if I have to be gaslit by another, like, small, flaccid D beta male telling me why they aren't really a man, and then somehow projecting that onto me and telling me, like, because he's weak and a failure, I need to believe that that's how we should all be. Like, no, sir, you are a loser. Please don't ask the rest of us to fold like lawn chairs like you have. The rest of us are not losers. And it's so weird because Christian nationalist men keep saying women are just not made for this. But why is it always white males folding like lawn chairs? It's super strange.
Of dealing with the ACA issue as long as the shutdown continued. Now, I don't know, 50-50, but there's a lot better chance now than there was this morning.
This was a very, very bad vote. And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism, to his war against working class people, to his authoritarianism. That is what the American people wanted, but tonight, that is not what happened.
So, I mean, you know, a 50-50 chance of negotiating health care subsidies. I just remember all of the people who are coming in and hoping that people would vote them in and say, yes, you can be this person, or you can be a judge, or you can be this. And they all said, no, we're not going to mess with anything. No, we're going to leave everything as it was. I have no faith that they're going to negotiate and come back to the table. And you know, I'm glad that folks, maybe, because again, we have seen You say this is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen.
Right.
So surprise me and show me that this is really, that people are going to get their money, that people are going to get the money that they are entitled to. It's not a gift.
Right.
They're entitled to this money during when there's a shutdown. You're entitled to that money.
Yeah.
So
There's
this
a
idea
contingency fund for
that
that.
they're giving in and giving this as a gift, it's not a gift. You know, I don't understand. So is he right that Americans wanted Democrats to keep fighting? You know, this would, and you know, people will get rehired, supposedly, federal workers, and reinstate SNAP benefits, but a 50-50 chance.
Of course they won't. If you believe a word Trump says at this point, it's almost like you've learned no lessons. Like you can't learn any patterns or figure out what's going on. You literally said these 8 idiots who have capitulated to Donald Trump have said, well, he's going to rehire the people he illegally fired. We're already going to have to go through labor lawsuits. Our tax dollars are already going to pay them regardless because they were illegally fired. Why would you come back to this situation? Nor what's the benefit of rehiring him? I think at this point, if you can't figure out that Trump's lying, you have to quite literally be delusional. Yes, I will marry you, Candy. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. And Robin, thank you for the $5 for my computer. I will put it to that. Again, that's what this is. I'll update it every day. It doesn't update automatically. But this is how close we are to me getting a computer. I'm not a PC person. I'm on a PC now because for TikTok Studio you have to have one. But my main computer I do research on is, I've been told it's better to just get a new one, because I'll spend half the money it already costs repairing it. So that's where we're at. Okay, I'm going to skip to today's presentation because I want to get into some more slander of liars. Like, oh God. John Fetterman showed up on The View. And I'm not going to start with that because I'm literally, if I have to listen to that again, I'm going to need time to calm down. Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm considering like what road I want to take. Yeah, I'm going to do that later. Sorry. I'm just considering because I think I should decompress. Oh, yes. So this is, I'm going to have to go. I should have done the other one first, but I'm going to do this. So you guys know how I'm obsessed with Harry Enton, who is like the statistical, he is like a walking statistics professor. And he does these like morning, like 3-minute clips on CNN. So after all day yesterday listening to these weird 8 people gaslight us and say, this is what the American people want, and Chuck Schumer being like, I'm a no vote, I have nothing to do with this, until Shaheen literally threw him under the bus and was like, he negotiated it all, he knows all about it. This is the numbers today around how people feel about Chuck Schumer. Oh, sorry. How did I do that? Here we go.
What about Democrats nationwide feeling about Chuck Schumer? I think the word of the day is terrible, 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 terrible. To quote another Charles Barkley when it comes to Chuck Schumer, look at this. Least popular Dem Senate leader ever. I looked at all of the polls going all the way back since 1985. The one who was the lowest rating among Democrats is in fact Chuck Schumer. Look at this. He's underwater with Democrats. His own party, he's underwater. He's at -4 points. That makes him the least popular guy for a Dem Senate leader going all the way back since the mid-1980s at least.
Do you have a sense of why?
Why? It's because Democrats, they want a fighter. They want a fighter. That's why. Take a look here. Democrats, Dems in Congress do too little to oppose Trump. During the first term, it was just 46% in 2017. That's the percentage of Democrats who said that the Dems in Congress are doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Look at where we are now. 69%. That is an increase of
I don't think that was an accident. Exactly 69.
This 23 points. The super duper majority of Democrats believe that the Democrats in Congress are not doing enough to oppose Donald Trump. And that, of course, is a big, huge criticism of Chuck Schumer. And that is why he is underwater.
I knew you were going to do the dip. All right.
I always do the dip. I need my exercise in the morning.
There has been talks of a challenge.
I love Harrington. Listen to me. You don't have to love the disgusting network and the current CNN CEO who continues to be literally on his knees for Trump, which I'm going to get to that. If you haven't, Gavin Newsom is selling knee pads now. So thank God these people who are absolutely on their knees for Trump 24 hours a day, they will be able to purchase some relief. I'm a former Division I volleyball player, so I know how great knee pads are when you're constantly slamming your knees against the floor. I'm not joking. They're sold out. They are Candy already knows they are currently sold out. So you might have, but Asics is a great maker of knee pads. Mizuno, Nike, there are knee pads available for all of you people who for 24 hours a day are on your knees for a tiny, flaccid man who and I just want to, again, I know that this should be obvious to Republicans, but every day that goes by that you don't understand that your health care is going away, and again, the majority of people in this country who are going to be devastated by the Medicaid cuts, by the SNAP cuts, or people in red states. But they can't even figure out how to listen and figure out what's going on. So they don't know. So yes, I just want everyone to know, if just because Gavin Newsom's knee pads, he is selling signature series, as he says, have been sold out. You can purchase volleyball knee pads, and I'm telling you, they'll save your life. If you can't spend your life on your knees, that's just bone on kneecap on floor. That's not going to work. So get some knee pads, MAGA. Make it more comfortable for you to constantly be down there. Oh, now I remember. For a man who says that men shouldn't wear makeup, and if they do, that they're, disgusting and committing a crime. When you're on your knees, for a man who every morning puts on a full face of makeup and so tragically bad. If this was a get ready with me, can you imagine watching Trump get ready? I imagine no showers. I don't know what I imagine. How can we, if only Trump would do a get ready with me. It's like a shoe polish can of orange that he's wiping over himself. Who knows what a get ready with me with Trump would look like? Diaper, and puts on his diaper. It's what we think of as underwear, which would probably be some sort of diaper. Hold on, Chris is in. Let's do Chris. Chris, did you leave? Wait, Chris, I think Chris is here. Thank you, Dolphin. I never check if someone's here or not.
Yo.
Hey, what's going on?
Just waiting for my $2,000 tariff dividend check on the money that we didn't make. So, no biggie.
Well, that's not going to come, so.
I know. Just kidding. How are you?
I'm okay. Oh, I didn't know what was going on. I thought you had something to say about what I was talking about. But yes.
Oh, yeah, no. I was going to say something about it too, but yeah.
Well, yeah, the tariff dividend checks, which are a complete lie and a joke. Yeah, Scott Bessent was on the news. I think yesterday. He was on the news today too, but yesterday being yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a thing. But the best part, since you're here and you can comment, since you're a finance bro that I can stomach, let me show you. Hold on. Let me show you something else. Oh my God.
I love how you call Marjorie Taylor Greene margarine. That's got to be the funniest
well, I've been
thing
doing it since almost before you were an adult. So I'm just kidding. I've been doing that since 2021. Wait, hold on. Sorry, I'm just okay. Let me show you. Is this yesterday or today?
So what they don't realize about. So I'm
hold on.
finally deciding.
Hold on. Let me show you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is how you know. I mean, you and I both, Chris, like together on a live one night. Do you remember when Trump, they're all lies, but do you remember when Trump was doing I went to the Middle East and came back with a free plane and like $6 million, $6 trillion of investment. And like, when you dig down in that's all a lie. It was investments. Not just that. I just want to be clear on the lies about the $6 trillion from the Middle East. His people emailed out to like Middle Eastern countries and were like, you need to tally up like any investment. It doesn't matter if it's current. It doesn't matter if it was 5 years ago. You need to just tally up any U.S. investment you've ever had so we can attribute that to Trump. And like, that's why the majority of all what was it? It was like 3 trillion I'm just going with his first lie because the rest just gets crazy.
He said he did 90 trade deals in 90 days, which that was bullshit.
Well, of course that was bullshit.
If you look at what the trade deals actually were.
Let me show you this though. He posted this.
Yeah,
this is yesterday. So this is how you know like Trump is now scared. So remember
That's kind of blurry, sister.
Well, I'll fix it in a second. Can you mute for 1 second though? Because I'm hearing there's an echo in my own ear, so that means there's an echo. Wait, how do I fix that? Or I can mute. Well, I'll mute once you talk, but let me just tell me. Can you guys can see this or not? So this is from yesterday. And let me just point this is my favorite independent journalist, Aaron Rupar. He's like, oh, so he totally stole the money, which I think is a joke because not only did Trump not steal this money, Trump never had this money. But you know how I went through oral arguments of the Supreme Court, which side note and good news. Remember how I was terrified on Thursday because I was like, Friday will be not oral arguments, but a Supreme Court discussion about whether or not to consider Obergefell, the right to gay marriage. Yeah, that was slapped down. That man has to pay 300 some plus thousand in court fees for wasting the Supreme Court's time trying to challenge gay marriage. So I just did want any queer people here. Yeah, the Supreme Court was like, this is an incoherent argument. We will not be considering. So from Thursday, this is him yesterday. The U.S. Supreme Court was given the wrong numbers. And as someone who listened to 3 hours of oral arguments, he wasn't. What John Sauer, RFK Jr., and not because he has money or, he's a Kennedy, but because his voice is second most annoying of any person in the Trump administration, basically said, hey, I can confirm that these tariffs, 30 to 80%, depending on the sector, and are being paid by the American people. And you know how Trump has constantly said they've taken in $3 trillion in tariffs? So now he's saying it's not true. Listen to this. The unwind, because part of this case is possible reparations. Like he might have to give it all back. The unwind in the event of a negative decision on tariffs would be including investments made, quote, to be made. Oh, so you made all this money up that was never actually coming to be made, and return of funds in excess of $3 trillion. It would not be possible to ever make up that kind of drubbing. So here's my point. Either that, and I can tell you as of, what month is it? It's November. As of the end of October, yeah, we've taken in like $250 billion in tariff revenue as a result of Trump's tariffs that the United States have paid. So and if you understand math, to say 250 billion would be like couch change compared to 3 trillion. So yeah, he either stole it or you never had that money. Okay, now go.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I just wanted to comment on like the infighting between Margarine and people like Thomas Massie. I think the Republicans are starting to realize that, dang, giving me the salty look. Did I say something wrong?
No, I was trying to determine. Sorry, no, I'm trying to determine whether or not people can see this. I was zooming in and zooming out. This has nothing to do with you.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good. I drank way too much caffeine today. I'm antsy. Yeah, so I think that a lot of these. I think a lot of these Republicans are finally realizing that if this healthcare bill goes south the way it's going to, a lot of these red states, which ironically enough, you hear the MAGA say, "Oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps." Well, 57% of these benefits are through the red states, and then registered Republicans, we got that number. They're using your Medicaids and your ABTs and WICs. But I think they're starting to realize that the red states are going to have to pick up the tax revenue from what's called bad debt. And essentially what bad debt is in the healthcare system from a finance point, a lot of the tax bracket, a big majority of the tax, well, not a majority, but a big chunk of it is the 51,000 bracket and to the left, right? So when collections stops going, when you don't have anything to give to collections for your bills, then after a period of time, the taxpayers are going to have to compensate for it. And I believe that the Republicans are just realizing, oh snap, places like Mississippi and Alabama with their low GDPs and people in these tax brackets are going to have to pick up on the tax revenue. I think I'm getting the idea they're just now realizing this, but instead of doing something about it, they choose to not come into session.
Wait, so can you just say it I know you do talk fast. So you're saying in relation to tax revenue, what, coming in or not coming in? When you make it impossible for people to earn money because they're no longer healthy, that the government gets poorer. Is that, I'm asking, not telling you what you said.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to slow down a bit. So I'll just break it down simply. So we know that one of the biggest forms of debt in American society is healthcare debt, but bad debt, after it sits there for a while and collections,
you have no more. A question. I'm not.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. So when you say bad debt, does that include medical debt or not?
That is medical debt, and bad debt's classified as anything that's a healthcare cost. Bills so anything that is billed and has not been settled for, and after, let's just say there's somebody making $35,000 a year, collections can only go after so much, and then after that, after a period of time, the taxpayer will pay for it. And put this in a scenario of Mississippi, which has the lowest GDP in the country, they're just going to up the taxes on the lowest GDP states, which happen to gravitate in the Bible Belt, and then people are going to be blaming Democrats because they have no idea what just happened.
You also understand that, well, actually, I wanted to, sorry, but it wasn't ready to go. So yeah, that's an interesting point, which I also want to get to before it even comes to debt and who pays it, because that's by the state have started to just say you can't, it depends on the state, how democratic they are, how progressive they are, whether or not your debt falls off and how fast. I want to show this woman because I never met her before, and I'm always when I was looking at responses to the 8 Senate Democrats who have continued to fold like lawn chairs. Her name is Julia Stratton. She's running for Senate. Well, excuse me. Currently, she's the lieutenant governor behind the guy that owns all the Hyatts. What's his name? What's the governor of Illinois? J.D. Pritzker. She's his lieutenant governor, and she was talking about how state-wise they've forgiven medical debt. Actually, I don't think there's any point in playing it right now since I don't know how long you're going to be here. You might be on your lunch break, so let's talk about it. But prior to debt,
I'm off today because it's Veterans Day. I'm off today.
Okay, perfect. Prior to medical debt, though, prior to it even gets to debt, that's not what needs to be concerning, right? First of all, I just want to be clear, no Medicaid has ever paid for an undocumented person to be part of federal Medicaid. That's a unbelievable lie. But and I'm saying this I'm going to try my best. Let me take a deep breath. I'm going to say this with love. to the MAGA people who do not understand fractions, statistics, or math in general, or how health insurance works. You keep saying it is beneficial. For illegal to have health insurance, I should not have to pay. So I just want to warn you, because you're about to find out. Nobody's ever found out in their lives. I'm almost glad that Trump won't negotiate a solution, because let MAGA find out that it might be better to allow people you don't